Good, good. So for all of you who read my email that comes out every Thursday morning, word for word, as I'm sure you all do, this is the t-shirt that I was talking about today. Nobody would have guessed me wearing this t-shirt. You're probably like, why in the world would you wear this t-shirt? Let me tell you the story behind this. I have a friend who's a pastor in Virginia. He's a great guy. And I was watching a video of his online once, and he was wearing this t-shirt or one like it. And I reached out to him like, hey, what's going on with that? Like, you got my attention. What's going on? And he said, hey, I don't know if you know this statistic, Greg, but there's data out there that shows among people who don't go to church, only 18% of them think pastors are likable. I'm like, that checks out. That's true with my experience overall. And it's one of the reasons why when I'm out in public and meeting people new, I'm not trying to hide that I'm a pastor, but I'm also not giving it up early in the conversation. I want to establish something with people before they learn that. Just last week, I went to get my hair cut at a place here in town, and I sit down in the chair, and I notice there's a guy from Suncrest sitting in the chair right next to me. And I'm like, this is going to ruin everything. Not because he's a great guy, but sure enough, shortly after I sat down, he's like, hey, this is my pastor. I'm like, can't I just talk to the person cutting my hair without them knowing this? Now, I will say that this is kind of a good news, bad news scenario for me. Whenever I wear this t-shirt, which isn't that often, it always generates a conversation, as you might imagine, and I get to have a good conversation. But the bad news, good news scenario for me as a pastor is I'm like, well, the bad news is I know that when I'm talking to people who don't go to church, I'm starting in a hole, right? And I have to dig my way out of that hole, and very, very commonly, very often in circumstances. The good news is the bar is set very low for me, very low. And I can meet that bar in almost every experience. I kind of think like, as long as I don't come up to you and say, hey, your baby's ugly, I'm going to win, on this progression. So it's just the nature of things. And the reason I wear it today is that I believe that likable and encourager are first cousins. They're not exactly the same, but they're definitely in the same family. They're definitely in the same orbit. And you probably know this. Like, if you're an encourager, you're likable. And if you're not an encourager, you're not that likable. That's kind of how it works. Think about it in both directions in your life. The people who are encouragers to you, you like them, don't you? That's the way this works. And you may not notice it, but you are encouraging to some people and maybe not so encouraging to others. And the people you're encouraging to, they like you. And when I say they like you, it's more than just a surface level thing. They sense, oh, there's a warmth to that person. It actually starts down the road of trustworthiness. Like, I would share something about my life with them because I like them. Being likable, being encouraging is beautiful. And I guess you could use this manipulatively. It certainly has been done before where people falsely encourage others in order to get them to like them. But it is not manipulative. According to the scriptures, it is reciprocal. And that's the way human beings were designed by God. That what we give in a relationship to others is what comes back to us. And whatever you give in life is what you end up receiving. That's the way God designed this world. And that's why this phrase from Proverbs 18 is so important. The tongue has the power of life and death. The words that come out of your mouth to others and the words that come out of others' mouths to you has the power to build you up, to make you feel better, to put air in your lungs, to help you come alive. Or it can discourage you. It can depress you. It has even actually taken people's lives before. The tongue does have the power of life and death. So I came across the phrase, actually, the phrase I'm about to show you, it feels like I can't help but come across it. I must have come across it 20 or 50 or maybe 100 times since the start of the year. Maybe you've seen this phrase as well. The phrase is, the amount of good things in your life depends on your ability to notice them. Now this is it's a good phrase. This is what I call a Hobby Lobby phrase. Right? This is on all the signs. You can get it in any color, any size you want. Beyond Hobby Lobby now, of course, it becomes an online, internet thing. Put a little flower behind it or someone who's standing there. It's beautiful. It gets shared all over the place. And this resonates with me. I think in kind of a general inspirational sense, there's that that's a big deal. Like the amount of good things in my life probably does depend on my ability to notice them. They're there. Am I seeing them? But when I hear this phrase, as much as I want it to be encouraging, there's a little bit of me that's like, well, I guess I'm not too good at noticing them then. Right? I guess I failed again. Right? Like I'm clearly, if I'm in a darker place, kind of have the dread goggles on in life, it's like, oh, yep, that's my fault too. And ever since I've seen this phrase kind of keep coming across the radar, it's made me think about this series. Because I think the way God designed this world, it shouldn't be on you to notice all the good things in your life. When the church is working right, when we're following Jesus and valuing relationships the way that he did, I actually become an agent to help you see and notice the good things that are in your life. Even when you can't do it on your own, even when you're in a low spot, we get to play the role to say, hey, maybe you can't see it yourself right now. I can see it for you. And then your ability to notice goes way up. And I just think, man, I hope Suncrest Church is doing this. And so I'm going to just spend one more minute here in the intro giving a little self-assessment. And I need your participation with this. We're going to do a show of hands. I know some of you hate that. I don't care. That didn't sound very encouraging. But I just need you all to participate with me, okay? So here's what's going to happen. This is going to go very quick. I need it to go fast. I'm going to ask you about how encouraging you are in various relationships in your life. And you have one of three answers. You can either say, I'm awesome, I'm awful, or I'm average, okay? You're either awesome, you're awful, or you're average. Don't lie. Tell the truth. Okay, so I'm going to take some categories of relationships first. We're going to start with, if you're married, we're going to start with your spouse. If you're not married, this could be a significant other, a good friend in your life. And I'm curious, in your self-assessment of yourself as an encourager to that person, are you awesome, are you awful, or are you average? How many of you are awesome? Let's see the hands. How many of you are awful? Let's see the hands. How many of you are average? That's the safe answer, isn't it? Especially when you're sitting next to them right now. That's okay. That's okay. I understand. All right, I'm going to give you a different category. I'm going to ask you to think about your parents. No matter what age you are, and maybe your parents have already passed, as my dad has, but you can think about what life was like and how encouraging you were to your parents. And when you think about your parents, I want you to think, am I awesome? Am I awful? Or am I average? How many of you are awesome at encouraging your parents? You call your mom at least once a week. That's my threshold for this. All right? How many of you are awful at encouraging your parents? How many of you are average? Yeah, okay. Another category, I don't know how this one's going to work, but let's try on siblings. Oh, siblings. Here we are. Oh, we got siblings sitting next to each other. This is going to be awesome. So all of us with our siblings, you got a brother, sister, maybe you have a bunch, maybe you have one. Awesome, awful, or average when it comes to encouraging them. How many of you are awesome? How many of you are awful? How many of you are average? Okay, now, those are three categories of relationships. I'm going to shift it a little bit now. Same question, awesome, awful, or average at encouraging, but instead of thinking of a category of a relationship like parents or a spouse or siblings, I want to ask you about situations you find yourself in, and you can include how your score has risen over the last 2 weeks of this series, okay? So one category is you see someone that's doing something positive, And you say to them, of course, well done. How many of you are awesome at that? All right. How many of you are awful at that? How many of you are average? All right, we're boosting that up. All right. Or maybe you see something in someone else, and when you see it, you want to make sure you name it. You're not just going to be quiet about it so that it can live and flourish in a vision for their life. We call this I see in you. How many of you are awesome at I see in you? How many of you are awful? And how many of you are average? All right, I'm going to give you a third category. This is where we're going with this particular week's message. When someone is in a tough spot, they're in a valley of life. Life has chewed them up and spit them out. Their spouse left them. They got the DUI. Someone they love died. Maybe it's their diagnosis, or maybe it's a financial bankruptcy they're walking. They're just in a low spot. Now, it is interesting. When others are in low spots, some people are prone to lean in to that. And many other people, when someone else is in a low spot, you're actually prone to back away a little bit. So some of you will be awesome, and some of you will be awful, and some of you will be average. Let's run this right now. How many of you are awesome? How many of you are awful? How many of you are average? Well, what the scriptures are prompting us to do is to engage people who are all over the spectrum, engage them today at their lowest points, and to do better than we did last week. To give them courage during the valleys of life so that they can make it. The tongue has the power of life and death, and our phrase for this week is simply, I'm with you. I'm with you. You know somebody who's going through something tough right now? You know somebody who needs someone in their corner, who's there for them, who has their back. And today, as a follower of Jesus, you're going to, by the end of our time together, think, oh, maybe that's my role in their life, and I need to make sure I say to them, I'm with you. You know, we have a number of phrases like this: in your corner, have your back. A popular one in songs is, I'll be there for you, right? So whether it's the Rembrandts or the Backstreet Boys or my personal favorite, Bon Jovi, I'll be there for you. These 5 words I swear to you. When you breathe, I want to be the air for you. I'll be there for you. This was a prom song. This is my generation, okay? Right? I think I have a cheap goblet somewhere with I'll be there for you, on it from my senior prom. But it's such a powerful phrase. And I want you to think over the next few minutes that we have together, who would benefit in your life from you stepping in and you looking them in the eye and you saying, I'm with you. I'm with you. You're not walking this road alone. I am with you. It could be a tremendous encouragement. One more question I need a little show of hands for. How many girl dads do we have in the room? Meaning you're a dad and you have at least one daughter. How many girl dads do we have in the room? Isn't this a very interesting role to play in someone's life, especially as your daughters get older? I always think it's kind of the classic relationship where I have a teenage daughter. She knows that I have her back, right? I saw a video online last week, and I texted it to my daughter, and I just think this is so powerful. It's kind of the vision for I'll Be With You. It did have some bad language in it that we had to cut out here, but I think you'll still appreciate the essence of this video from a daughter's perspective.
No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to save you. My dad is. My dad's coming to save me. As long as that man has air in his lungs, he is coming to get my ass. From minor inconvenience all the way up to Class A felony. Doesn't matter, no questions asked. He'll probably save you too, as long as you haven't picked him off. If you pick him off, you're on your own, You're on your own. As long as James is kicking, I am good. I am saved. Mark me safe.
The girl dads get this, right? I'm like, I'm here. I'm with you. It doesn't matter. You have a problem. You should call me. I got your back. I'm in your corner. I'll be there for you. I'm with you. And I just want us to appreciate that our role in other people's lives, especially as followers of Jesus, is coming to meet people at some of their low points and walking that road with them. For the rest of the message here, I'm going to just kind of saturate it with various scriptures. I want you to see how we receive this from God himself and how he encourages us to then pass this on to those who are around us. So just let these scriptures soak with you and see how often you see this phrase about with you. In Isaiah 41, it says, God is saying, I have chosen you and have not rejected you. So do not fear, for I am with you. That's what happens when someone is with you. Things you used to be afraid of that you knew you actually couldn't handle on your own, when you know someone is with you, God or just a representative of God, all of a sudden the fear diminishes. And I can start to see more clearly about how I would tackle what is in front of me. I will strengthen you and help you and will uphold you. And I think these three images are exactly what it means and exactly what happens when you say to someone, I'm with you. A number of years ago, we were going through something, our family was going through something. It was the most difficult thing we've ever gone through with one of our teenage kids. I like to be a pretty open book with all of you, try to let you see how real life is. But what was going on in our family was so difficult and so personal. I will never, ever share the story from this platform. But some of you have been in these situations. Jenny and I were at a loss. We didn't know what to do. And we're not dumb. We had tried all the things that a smart person would try. And then it would sometimes feel like if we would reveal to some friends of ours what was going on, and they would try to give us some advice that was simplistic, it was actually kind of infuriating to us that someone thought they could immediately come up with an answer with a situation that was so complex to us. We were tired. Like the fatigue had set in. There was an intensity of managing this. Day in and day out, every day. And you didn't sleep very well, and you had to put on at least some decent face in public because not everybody needed to know, and you didn't have to spill your stuff on everybody else. And then we just try to lean in to each other. But we were just wiped out. And it felt like, not just like physical fatigue, but like the strength is gone. I've used all the strength, all the endurance that I have. And we were navigating this, and I tell you gratefully, the child that we were walking through this with is in a great place today, years later. But in that season, it was my mom who said, I'm with you. And she was. And I didn't picture that when I was in my 40s and she was in her 70s, that I would need my mom like this. But I did. And she was there. And she prayed for us, and she encouraged us to keep going. And on certain days, she held us accountable to the things that I knew were right to do, but I was starting to feel like, I think I'm going to give in and not do it. And you know what she did? She strengthened me. And she helped me. And more than anything else, she upheld me. And I was like, I don't know if we would have made it without my mom. And to have someone in your corner who has your back, who will put their hands on their shoulder, look you in the eye and say, hey, I'm with you. I'm with you. it diminishes the fear. And you and I can play that role in other people's lives. There's a story in the Old Testament, it's one of the most fascinating stories to me. The book the story is in is a book called Ruth, but it actually begins about a woman named Naomi. It's a fascinating story. Let me give you kind of the background. Naomi was married to a guy named Elimelech, and she had 2 sons, and there was kind of a famine, in the land. So they go from where they are up near Bethlehem, of course, where Jesus eventually later was born, and they go down to a region called Moab, and they live among the Moabites. And they have some food there. They're able to survive. But while they're there, tragedy strikes the family. Not only does Naomi's husband die, she becomes a widow, which in that world, even much more than our own, puts a woman in a very compromised position. But then her 2 sons died. And so now it's Naomi and her 2 daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth. And Naomi thinks to herself, I just got to go back home to my people up in Bethlehem. But the 2 girls that her sons had married were from Moab. They were Moabites. And so she says to them, hey, I'm going to go home. Listen, the 2 of you stay here. This is what it says. Then Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, go back, each of you, to your mother's home. And she kissed them goodbye, and they wept aloud and said to her, no, we'll go back with you to your people. No, Naomi. We're with you. And Naomi doesn't want to put them out. She wants them. She actually says, hey, in our tradition, like I would have more sons and you would marry one of those sons, but I'm too old to have sons. You got to find some guys to marry here in Moab. And it says that Naomi said, return home, my daughters. And then one of the 2 daughters, Orpah, did what she asked. She kissed her mother-in-law goodbye. But Ruth clung to her. And then we get this beautiful phrase that Ruth uses with her mother-in-law, Naomi. As her mother-in-law, Naomi, is returning to this land. And this is what she says. Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. And I just think this is real life. When you even start thinking about, well, who would it be that I would say I'm with you for? The person might even resist at first. You say, hey, I'm with you. And they're like, no, don't worry about me. And you actually kind of have to overcome that resistance. And here's what she says. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. And when Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her to stay in Moab. I'm like, so powerful. To know that someone's facing something difficult and doing something tough and doesn't want to put you out. But you say, no. This is who I am. I'm with you. Your people, my people. Wherever you go, that's where I'm going. Whatever we have to walk through together, we're going to walk it. Your faith, be my faith. Let's go. I'm with you. You think, why is this so significant in the scriptures? Well, of course, it's because God created each of us as relational beings, that we need each other. We need someone in our corner, and we need to be in other people's corners. That's the way humanity is supposed to work. But the reason we are relational beings is because we are created in the image of God, and God himself is a relational being. And even for God himself, when he created the world and provided so much for us, he came to a moment. Matthew, so one of the writers of Jesus' life, biographer, I want to show you the bookends of how Matthew describes Jesus' life. So an angel of the Lord comes to Joseph. The virgin will conceive and will give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. This is not God sitting in the heavens, some ivory tower, calling the shots, telling you what you did wrong, even clapping from a distance. This is who God is, that he would come and be with us. And then you follow all of Jesus' life. And of course, he was with people all of the time. But after his death, his burial, and his resurrection, in the very last thing that Jesus says to all of us, he gives us a commission to go and make disciples. And then he says, and surely I am with you always. Do not sleep on this idea that God comes to be with us, and it is through that that we are now with others. You don't have to have a scarcity mentality about encouragement, about putting yourself out there to be with others. There's enough of you to go around, to walk this road with other people, and to be doing the work of God, to be used by God to change lives. So let me use then a passage from Hebrews in the New Testament. I've actually flipped the order of this verse to show it to you, so I think you can understand it actually a little better in seeing it this way. In Hebrews chapter 13, the scriptures say, because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. And this is so important because I'm going to show you in a minute what comes before this. What are the circumstances he was talking about where it will be important for us to remember that God would never leave us, he would never forsake us. And he's going to give us relational experiences that we're having with others to say, hey, be with them just as I am always with you. Here's what he says 3 sentences before. He says, continue to remember those in prison as if you were together with them in prison, and those who are mistreated as if you yourselves were suffering. Now, one of the things I've been trusting in this series is that God is bringing to mind people for you, even as I'm talking. And you're starting to think, well, I know who it is in my life. And this particular circumstance is it's someone in prison. Unjustly, likely. I mean, the next line talks about being mistreated. But maybe you know someone who's in prison. Or maybe prison is a metaphor for what they're going through in life right now. But they are locked up. They can't quite find their way out. They're in a tough spot. And the idea, the calling from God to you is to look them in the eye and say, I'm with you. The next example he gives us is marriage, actually. Marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure. God will judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral. And what God is shining a light on here is that, like, in our marriages, like, there's something unique about this. And we need to be able to make sure we can say to each other, I'm with you. You know, one of the things the scriptures give us, one of the big ideas that is really helpful for life is to say, hey, there are different kind of relationships. There are covenant relationships, and there are non-covenant relationships. And the ones that aren't covenant relationships, they come and go, and that's okay. That's the way life is. But there are a few relationships where you commit, and marriage is one of them, and raising kids is another one of them, where your promise is much like Ruth's promise. Well, wherever you go, I'll go. And your people will be my people. One of the ways I talk about these distinctions in relationships is, of course, we have a lot of relationships that are fine, where you might temporarily say to someone, I'm with you. But to value your covenant relationships that say, I'm with you, period. It's not changing. This is so significant. I want you to hear how significant this is to me. You know, sometimes in churches, we kind of amp up the language to make it sound spiritual. I'm as guilty of that sometimes as others. And so we started some things around our church a number of years ago where it's like, hey, we think leadership is really important. We want leaders to make commitments to us, to one another, us make commitments to them. And we said, hey, let's call it a leadership covenant. That sounds more important than leadership commitment, doesn't it? This is a covenant that we have. And about 2 years ago, I went to Jamie and I said, I think we should change it back to commitment. Because we are committed to each other. Commitment matters, but it's not covenant. Covenant is a category all its own. And I just really want to encourage you that if your spouse or one of your kids is going through something really difficult right now, and you made the commitment, the covenant with them, they may more than anyone else need to hear you say, I'm with you. The third thing it says right before it says, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you, is this. It says, keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. And I just think this is so insightful, because a lot of times money gets in the way of us saying to someone, I'm with you. It's like, well, I can't do that and still make all my money, save all my money, keep all my money, stay focused on having money and the things that money buys. This relational thing of walking with someone through a valley is going to get in the way of my financial capacity. And it may, I just want you to hear this, it may very directly get in the way of your financial capacity, because one of the ways that you go to someone and you say, I'm with you, is you give them money. That's what they need right now. And the scriptures are crystal clear about this. Like when someone needs money, that's what they need to get through what they're doing. And you say to them, hope it works out for you. Be warm and well fed. The scriptures do not look upon that kindly. The scriptures are like, hey, one of the ways you're going to be with someone is you're going to give them some of your money. Which is so wild to me. It's just like a line people draw. You're like, but not that. Oh, but you just have to be content with what you have. God gave you money for a reason, and one of the reasons was to make a difference in this world. It's so powerful. So, I'm with you. Let me clarify before I wrap this up. 3 things that I'm with you isn't, just to be crystal clear. I'm with you isn't serving from a distance. You know, even this past week, we've served from a distance sometimes. There's nothing wrong with serving from a distance. If you came here and you made blankets for Phil's friends and those went out to someone else, that's a good thing. It's just not, I'm with you. I'm with you is in proximity. I'm with you is relational. I'm with you as I put my hands on your shoulders, I look you in the eye, and I let you know, I'm with you. Where you go, I'll go. Your people, my people. If it costs me some money, it costs me some money. I'm with you. I'm with you isn't having the solution. A little bit ago when I asked all of you, like, hey, are you awesome or awful or average at walking into a situation where someone really is in need? One of the reasons that people step back from those relationships instead of stepping into them is that we have this thing in our head that says, I could only step into this if I have a solution for them, if I can solve their problem, if I have enough wisdom to help them navigate their way out of this. And I'm just telling you, that's not what I'm with you is. It's not about having a solution. Actually, sometimes when you come with the solution, that's the problem. They just need to know you're with them. Maybe you've heard this phrase before. It's not your job to fill their cup. You're not going to be able to meet every need they have, solve every problem they have. It's your job to empty your cup. Whatever you have, you would pour out and share what you have with them. And I'm with you isn't putting it on them. So a number of years ago, I shared something. I'm going to share it again right now. And this is one of the themes that people come back and talk to me about years later. There's a phrase that probably all of us have used. I've used it. I'm going to ruin it for you this weekend. When someone's going through something tough, when you walk through the visitation line at a funeral home and you don't quite know what else to say to the person who's standing there mourning the loss of the person they loved, the most common thing that people say is, hey, if you need anything, let me know. Hey, if you need anything, let me know. I'm not saying it's a terrible phrase. It actually is probably better than nothing. But you see what's going on with that phrase, right? To the person who's hurting, you have now taken the responsibility off of yourself and loaded it up on their shoulders so that when they need something, they might think, well, he or she said that. Am I really going to call them? I don't know. Maybe they didn't mean it. And how much better would it be if instead of laying things back on someone else when they're the one who's in a tough spot, we just say to them, hey, I got something for you. I actually took the time to think about what you might need instead of making you think about it and call me and ask me for it. Hey, I'm with you. I'll sit with you. I'll walk with you. I'll go play golf with you. I'm with you. And we just step into people's lives to let them experience our presence rather than putting it on them to answer. And so, you know where this is going if you've been here. I have an assignment for you. This week, only 2 people. I want them to hear the words, I'm with you, come out of your mouth. I have 2 ideas in mind. One is that it's a situation. It's something that you've come across this week, and you think, oh, this is the moment. I see someone. I didn't plan this in advance. I see someone, and it's tough, and I'm going to make sure I go be the person who says, I see you're going through something tough. I see you're in a valley. I see you're struggling with your kids. I see you can't make ends meet. I'm with you. And it might even just be for this situation. It might last for a week or for a month or for 6 months, but it's just a situation. And the other one is a person. It's whoever's been coming to mind as I've been talking. And maybe you even said this to this person again, but you can't say this too much. You just want them to know that basically for the rest of your life, you're with them. You are in their corner. You have their back. I'm with you. It'll change the world. Well, I really hope that was helpful for integrating faith with life. Listen, if you're in Northwest Indiana, I'd love to have you join us in person. Head over to suncrest.org and plan your visit.